welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be totally honest, this is not a planned video, but I need to do this video because it's the only way I can get every single thought I need to say about this book, because I'm not going to be able to write everything down, and yeah, this isn't planned, as you can tell, because I look rough, but we're going with it. So, I'm going to do my first ever book review on here. It's probably not going to be my last, purely because, yeah, we're reading a series that I have put off for probably near enough a year. But I was meant to read this book last month, but because of the mixed reviews I've heard about it, I kept putting it off and thinking, no, I'm just not going to like it like everyone says I'm not. But I decided to try it, and I don't know what everyone's on about, but I read The Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I think we all know what it's about. I'm probably the only one who hasn't read the book yet. But I wanted to read it purely to see what my thoughts were, and obviously because Netflix of this is coming out very soon, and I don't really want to watch that and have no idea what's going on. So I picked this up at 9 o'clock last night. I literally just finished it half an hour ago, and I still can't get my thoughts around it. So I'm going to be honest here, guys. This is going to be a spoiler video. If you have not read this book, do not watch this video. If you do not care about this book and you're happy for it to be spoiled for you, carry on. But if you haven't read it and you want to, do not watch this video. There is going to be spoilers. This is my warning, because I've got a lot to say. So, I got told that this was mediocre, that the second book was naff, and the third book was a bit better. Now, I don't know what people are on about, because I love this book. As you can probably tell, I literally, no joke, read the first paragraph and was like, I like it. Now, a lot of people said this is very YA, and I haven't actually looked up to see whether this is actually a YA book. If so, I'm here for it. I like YA. I do find YA are very easy books to read, which is probably why I like this. Because I'm going to be totally honest. I find with adult fantasy, as much as I love it, the first half of the book is very world building and is very character building, because you're learning about the world, you're learning about the magic system mostly, and you obviously learn about all these characters, and it's usually by the halfway point to the end things start to pick up, like a fight happens or whatever. So it always picks up halfway to the end, and it's usually, if it's a series, when you read the next book you don't have so much of the world building and the character building, because it's already happened in the first book, so things can happen a bit more in the second book and so forth. I didn't get any of that on here, not in a bad way either. I found it was enough in here for you to understand what's going on. You understand who Alina and Mal are, you get that background straight away, and I absolutely love both of the characters. I was here for them. I was already shouting at the pair of them because I thought, it's clear you both love each other, bloody say it. But you know, you're kids, you don't really want to really notice that. But anyway, we'll go to that bit in a bit. I got everything I wanted out of this book. I got enough character building so I knew the background of all the characters that were mentioned, give or take. You know, the world building, there isn't really much to world build about, really. Like, you know, there is a darkness, which is the unsea, as it's called, as you can see. So this is the darkness bit, and then you've got all of these like areas. I am going to be totally honest, until the end I was so shipping for the Darkling. I really liked him. Honestly, I was like, yes, like, I'm going to be honest, I have watched the Shadow and Bone trailer on Netflix about 10 times. I love the actor who was playing the Darkling. He is gorgeous. So when I picked this up, when the Darkling was first mentioned, obviously his image came up because I knew what he looked like from the Netflix series. And I was shipping for him. I still, in some ways, really like him. It's the first time I actually like a bad guy, I suppose you could say. Obviously, he's an arsehole. If you've read the book, you know why. You're sure going to find out when you watch the series as well. But there is a really twisted part of me that likes him, and I can kind of understand why he's doing what he's doing. I can see his point. Because in some ways what he wants done kind of helps, but it's not obviously in a good way. It's a very twisted and dark and bad way. But yeah, I felt that this book gave me enough. I could probably see why some people didn't like it. Probably because in some sense, yes, it's very maybe YA. Whether it is a YA fantasy, I have no idea. I'm going to have to look that up and correct myself if I'm wrong, but we're going with it. But from what everyone's saying, it's very YA. And I'm understanding that if you read a lot of adult fantasy, switching to something that you probably didn't realise was YA probably might throw you. But for me, sometimes I find some fantasies quite like word dumping. I like it, it does set the scene and everything, and majority of the time the books that I read are a series, so I know as I get further into the series you don't get so much of that. But I do sometimes, not with all, but there are some books I read that I get halfway point and I'm thinking please pick up, because otherwise this is going to be like a 3-star for me. And they do pick up, and usually there's like a massive big thing going on and that boosts me up to 5 stars. Or sometimes there's like a massive big cliffhanger or a plot twist that I didn't see. Usually something happens in the second part that makes it go into 5 stars. But I always do find the first half of each fantasy book that I read, give or take, goes in like a 3-star mode, because it is a lot of descriptions and that. But with this, it just went straight to the point, and I think we have all gathered that I like very fast-paced plot and I like characters as well. They're probably my 2 things I look for in a book. I don't mind if both aren't there. If it's very focused with characters and I'm vibing with the characters, then that's fine, that does it for me. If I'm not liking the characters but I'm really enjoying the plot and I don't mind the plot and think that actually overcomes everything else, that's fine with me too. If I have to get both of the things together, then it is perfect, and I'm going to love the book. For me, this had it all. I got the background of it, you know, I understood who Alina and is it Alina, whatever, Alina we're going with. Like, I understand her and Mal and their background and that they're orphans. I understand that they got tested by the Grisha to see if they had any powers, and obviously neither showed any powers, but obviously it's come to my attention why Alina never showed powers, because basically she knew if she showed her powers, which she knew she had, she knew down in the pit of her stomach there was something different about her, but she knew if she showed that she would be separated from Mal, and because she was totally and madly in love with Mal, she didn't want to be separated from him. His friendship meant more to her than being Grisha, which, I'm going to be totally honest, when you go into Grisha land, and yes, they've got all of these like amazing money and all of these pretty things, and you know, they live a life of luxury, really it's just enslavement. Like, this book subtly talks about slaves, and it is like, when you actually read it, it is every single one of them in the little palace, you know, they are all slaves. They're all slaves. They are a slave, they're entrapment, and they're doing things that maybe they don't want to do, but they have reasons why. Yeah, so obviously here, yeah, so basically Alina and Mal have to go to the fold. I'm still not 100% sure why. I think it was I understand why Mal had to go to the fold, but I don't really know why Alina did, because she is a map. Is it map worker? Map? I can't remember what she's called. Hang on. I don't know. She's a map something. So like, I don't particularly understand why she was there, but hey ho. But basically, she watches. They go into a fold. At first, it's not too bad. It's just very darkness. But then obviously the monsters, which I now need to remember what they're blimmin' called. What are they called? What are they called? What are they called? Hang on. I'm in the wrong page. Is it? Oh, I can't remember what they're called now, guys. This is annoying. This is gonna annoy me. This is gonna annoy me. This is gonna annoy me. Guys, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called, and I'm looking for it and I can't flipping find it. I know it begins with a V. that. What is it? Oh shit. Can't remember. I'm going to be forever trying to find it. It's these flying monster things that the Darkling cannot fight because it's darkness itself. And anyway, long story cut short, Alina has powers which she didn't know until she saw Mal pretty much near to death, and so she runs to protect him, and this big light spark happened, and so it's turned out that she is a sun. Oh, just to make it easy, like she's a sun summoner and she's the only one of her kind, and basically she can, in hindsight, get rid of the darkness. But the Darkling is an arsehole. He's a lovely, gorgeous arsehole, but he is an arsehole because he obviously finds Alina and he sort of brings her power out, and so then she goes into Grisha to get chains of Grisha. So I must admit, I started sort of wondering whether the Darkling was who he was said he was, because he kind of didn't care that Alina wasn't really fighting or doing anything. All he cared about was like her power, and like he kept saying, it doesn't matter about you finding it, we're going to get you a special necklace that will help call on your power, so she won't have to actually call it herself. And I must admit, when I was reading it, I thought, this sounds dodgy. Like, surely if you want her to have this power, surely she should go, like, learn her power and get it to be the biggest potential it can, rather than relying on something that could easily be taken off her, in my opinion. But obviously it comes to thing that actually this amplifier, that's what it is, the amplifier he wants for her is actually his like command. So when he puts it on her, he actually controls her power, so she basically is his slave and does all his abiding. But we'll get to that little section in a minute. So there was a few bits where I did think, okay, the Darkling is possibly not saying what it is. I must admit, I really was shipping for their little love interest that was going on, because like I said, the Darkling's hot, and seeing the trailer of this, he's very hot as well, which is what I pictured. So I kind of was shipping it, but obviously at the same time I was like, no, he's not good for you, Mal's the one. But obviously with reasons, nothing came to that as of yet. I really did enjoy Alina and the fact that she kind of decided that she wasn't going to be the quiet little girl anymore. She started realising that if she kept like sort of not letting her power completely come out, that was the reason why she was getting really drained and why she was skinny and all that. And as she accepted this power, she completely changed. She, you know, she was hungry and she actually ate, so she had an appetite. She slept better. She wasn't so skinny anymore. She was starting to fill out, and in that sense, you kind of can see why sometimes hiding your power and like not releasing it, it's going to drain you, especially if it's part of you. So I like that she embraced that and decided, even if at the time it was because of the Darkling, she sort of was very much, no, I'm not going to be that little girl. And I suppose in some sense she kind of had in her head, because she was writing to Mal and Mal hadn't written back, she kind of felt like Mal didn't care anymore. She was out of his life now. He, you know, he didn't have to worry about her anymore. So obviously, you know, so that's why she got drawn to Darkling, because the Darkling was showing her attention, but it wasn't obviously for nice reasons. Well, I don't know. I do question thinking, does he have some sort of like, maybe not love, but does he like her, but going the wrong way of it, because he's a he's a Darkling, he's got darkness, his power's darkness, so, you know, there's nothing really good about darkness. Yeah, I like her character. I love how she evolved, how confident she got, and after a while she became quite a badass in her own rightful way. And then obviously she finally saw Mal, and I really, really wanted that reunion to be lovely, and it wasn't. And I'm glad it wasn't, because obviously when that reunion finally happened, you know, it was a bittersweet, very lovely reunion. But yeah, there were some bits where I was like, oh my god, come on. But that's what I like about books, because I don't want books to be really easy and just give you everything you want straight away, because then it's not really a interesting book, because you're getting exactly what you want. I must admit, when the plot twist came, which was about, so the lady that was training Alina, so like she kept saying, trying to like sway the Darkling off making this necklace, the amplifier, saying, oh no, it won't work, you're not going to find it, it's only a myth, it's just a fairy tale, it's not real. And I must admit, I was like, why does she not want to help? And I kind of thought, like, is there something dodgy about her? But when it came to light, obviously she's a Darkling's mother. Did not see that coming. I was like, oh, what? And then when she did all this revelation of what the Darkling's actual task was and what he only wanted Alina for, I was like, oh, that makes totally sense. And I like how Alina was sort of swayed, because there was some part of her that expected the truth. She knew something was up, but obviously at the same time she's never been accepted before, she's never been loved, she's never been wanted, and the Darkling was giving her exactly all those things that she's craved all of her life. And so she was like torn. But then obviously when the realization came, you know, this woman is his mother, she knows him fully, she saw him do the darkness and everything, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I can see why he's done it. So when she escapes, I wasn't expecting her to find Mal, but so Mal was tasked to hunt and find her and bring her back. But obviously Mal, knowing Alina, was like, she's run away from a reason. So he kind of drifted his like hunters to go a certain way, and he then ran away from them. So he was now classed as like a runaway. I can't remember what the term was now. There's a lot of terms in here. But they both find each other, and for a while it was very uncomfortable. It was very awkward between them, because obviously last time they saw each other they said some hurtful things, and I think we saw a lot of jealousy from Mal, but I think Alina was a bit too blind to realise that the stuff Mal was saying was quite out of jealousy, because he saw her and the Darkling, and you know, it was very obvious what was going on there. But obviously after a few talkings, and they sort of like patched things up. But then like it was 200, hang on, I did it down. We got to 298, and it was, did you miss me, Alina? Did you miss me when you were gone? And she replied, every day. he goes, I missed you every hour, and you know what the worst part was? It caught me completely by surprise. I catch myself walking around to find you, not for any reason, just out of habit, because I've seen something that I wanted to tell you about, or because I wanted to hear your voice. Excuse me. Yeah, basically, page 289, Mal decides to finally declare that he actually is in love with Alina. Now, Alina knew she loved him, but she didn't think it was going to be reciprocated, hence why she kind of started going there with the Darkling. But when Mel's realisation as like, you finally realise this, A, when you're getting hunted, B, you're pretty much close to like death, and C, it was the most awkward and worst time to declare your love, but he had to, and I was there for it, because I was just like, yeah, you know, probably the worst time to declare your love, but at the same time, you're probably about to die, so you might as well like say it and get it out there. But oh, it was so cute. Like, I was waiting for it. I was like, is this gonna happen? Are they finally gonna do it? And then the kiss. Oh, like nothing actually really steamy happened. Like, there possibly would have been a really steamy moment with the Darkling, but that got interrupted. And I'm kind of glad that got interrupted, because I don't know what would have happened there. But yeah, like I'm literally, once I've done this, I'm going to start the second book, and I'm going to see what I feel about the second book, because everyone says that's where the problematic book is. But I'm kind of like, I'm vibing with the characters, I'm vibing with the plot. I may actually like this series, so we will see. But I'm hoping, like in book 2, like the relationship between Mel and Alina will start being a bit more romantic. You know, I do like my steamy bits when you have a quite fantasy sex in books is really good. I'm sorry, it is. It's more steamy than romance, give or take. There are a lot of romance books that have got a lot of steaminess, but they tend to be dark romances, and there's always like some nasty reason for it. Anyway, we're losing track. I just love this book, and I do not know why people don't love this book. I'm probably one of the odd ones out there who love this book, and that's fine, because I like being different. Different's my middle name. But I'm hoping I'm not going to be disappointed by book 2 and it goes downhill like everyone suggests, because I will be quite upset. But I can't fault this book at all. There's nothing here I can fault. It's a 5 stars for me. It was easy, and like the fact that I started at 9 o'clock, I stopped reading at 10:30, and I was up to page 89, and then I literally, the first thing I did this morning, I woke up at 9 and I just picked this book up for an hour and a half, and I got to page 200, and then I got dressed, and then I had to have lunch, and then I picked this book up after lunch, and then literally I just flown through it. So it took me less than 24 hours really, because it started at 9. Yes, I obviously slept, but actually working out how long I've been reading, it was less than 24 hours, probably about 8 hours max. And I love this. And I'm really, like I said, I'm going to pick up the second book. It's right here. Can I get it out? I can't get it out, never mind. But it's right here. I'm going to pick it up. Once I finish that, I'm going to pick up the third book. My April TBR has completely gone out the window. We're going to be honest here, guys. Like, I'm mood reading at the moment, but that's what happens sometimes. But I love this. I'm so glad I read it, because now I'm like, I don't know what you guys are on about. I really liked it. Hopefully I'm going to like the second one. But I am actually going to do a review of the second one once I've read it, because might as well do a review for the whole series to see whether I still feel 5 stars and loving it. But I'm so glad I read it, because I can finally, when it comes out on Netflix, watch it and understand what's going on and see whether it's as good as the book or better. But I'm excited. But yeah, I had to share my thoughts. I could stand here and keep talking about it, but we're going to be here forever, and we're only like 25 minutes. But yeah, I loved how easy it was. It was just easy. There was not much world building. There was just, it was done for you. It was quick, there and there. For me, that's my perfect book, because I just can breeze through it. I don't have to think. And also, it was really handy, and think it's in all of the books, the Cruciverse books, but I love that there is an actual like glossary of like the terms and who's in it and all that, so that actually helped. But I didn't actually have to go backwards and forwards to learn who was who, because it was very easy and made sense. But yeah, everything about it, I loved it. It was just really easy, and it just didn't take much for me to understand, and all the characters were likeable, even the baddies, they were likeable, which kind of makes it interesting, because how Bardugo makes even the bad guys likeable, it's skill, because there's always some element where you're like, oh God's sake. But like the Darkling, for me, I do have a little bit of my heart for him, and he obviously is dangerous, he wants nothing good, but there's just something about him that's very sexy, unfortunately. But then I have always been interested in bad guys, which is my downfall in my relationships, really. So that probably is the reason why. But yeah, I loved this book. I have no faults for it. I'm going to pick up the second book. If I don't love it, I will be disappointed, but I kind of feel like because I enjoyed this book, I don't see how it's going to go downhill for me, because a lot of people didn't enjoy this, which went into the whole series that they didn't like it. So we're going to see. I'm going to read this series, and I really would like to read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, but I'm going to be totally honest here, guys, and that is the series I'm worried about, because I have heard that it is very much a heist and all of that, and I'm kind of thinking, where's the fantasy elements in a heist? Now, there obviously must be, but I don't know. For me, this is more magic, more fantasy than what Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom is shouting to me at the minute. But everyone's saying they love that series, although a group of Bookstagram friends that I've been talking to about this series actually all said they didn't like this series and they didn't like Six of Crows either. So we're going to see. But yeah, that is my little mini review of Shadow and Bone. I'm now going to go and do my writing review, and obviously that's not going to be as lengthy, and then I'm going to go and read Siege and Storm, and I will come back with a review for that, because we are definitely reviewing the whole series on my BookTube, because we've started now. But thank you for watching me just chat about all my thoughts. I shall see you again soon. Take care. Bye.